I'm a little in shock.
Well, I mean, why? I mean, I can't imagine.
Parents outraged hearing that an Orlando police school resource officer arrested young children ages 6 and 8 from the same school. School resource officer Dennis Turner charging the children with unrelated misdemeanors.
I'm an educational psychologist and I do a lot of work with developmental psychology, so I'm deeply concerned to hear this. That's very disturbing to me.
The news station has learned that Turner is now the subject of an internal affairs investigation stemming from yesterday's actions. OPD saying during the arrest process, supervisors became aware of the incidents. Per department policy, the arrest of any person under the age of 12 requires the approval of the watch commander, which was not obtained in this case.
What's the justification of that?
Investigators say the 8-year-old was processed through the Juvenile Assessment Center and released to a family member a short time later. The 6-year-old released from custody and returned to the school prior to being processed at the Juvenile Assessment Center.
From a developmental psychology standpoint, that's malpractice. You know, you will traumatize the child more than you will benefit the child. I don't even see why a resource officer would consider doing much more than bring the child to the school principal.
Thursday of last week, 2 very young children were arrested. I was advised that it was a 6-year-old little girl and a little boy as well. Since that time, there have been outcries for justice, and I want this community to know that I hear you. I also want you to know that when it comes to little elementary age children, we will not negotiate justice ever. Today, the healing can start. I can assure you that there will be no criminal prosecution for a misdemeanor battery for these elementary children in my name or on my watch. Unlike some, I will not presume guilt or dangerousness of a child based upon any demographic. I want to be clear, at no point did I or my Juvenile Bureau Chief, Michael Dean, have any intention on proceeding with the prosecution of these children. I'm extremely proud of Mr. Dean and his actions on Thursday, because in no uncertain terms, he said that the Juvenile Detention Center was not a place for a 6-year-old child. There is protocol and a criminal justice process that did not allow my office to intervene and dismiss the charges before today. Case numbers are generated by our clerk's office, and it is only at that point that I, as a state attorney, am authorized to act. A case number pertaining to the 6-year-old girl was provided to my office this morning, and the charges were dropped this morning. At this point, we have not received a case number for the other child, but when we do and a case number is assigned, it too will be immediately dismissed. While I am extremely sensitive to the concerns of those who are identified as victims, and my office has reached out to speak to them, I refuse to knowingly play any role in the school-to-prison pipeline at any age. These very young children are to be protected, nurtured, and disciplined in a manner that does not rely on the criminal justice system to do it. Systems are not designed to raise our children, people are. When we rely on the criminal justice system to raise children, let us not be shocked at the pain in the communities, the mental health crisis, and the inarticulable dysfunction that is so pervasive within the system and elsewhere. We must explore better options as a state. We must raise the expectations of how we respond in difficult situations. This is not a reflection of the children, but more of a reflection of a broken system that is in need of reform. It is time to address juvenile legislation in ways that better protect the interests of children and their development. It is our job as criminal justice professionals to recognize victims in the pursuit of justice. We are not here to create victims because we feel inadequate. I am pleased to note that I have been in contact with Orlando Police Chief Rallone, who has in no uncertain terms said that he does not wish for these children to be prosecuted. He specifically requested that the charges be dropped, and I commend his integrity and his consistency that he has shown. The respect that I have for Chief Rallone is second to none. In closing, I want to repeat that the criminal process ends here today. The children will not be prosecuted, and just as importantly, I am looking into options that may reverse the legal damage, such as removing the arrests from the children's records. If you have any questions, I'll take them now.
Is this the first time in your career that you've ever seen a 6-year-old charged
Unfortunately, no. The state of Florida has led in arrest of children ages 5 to 10 prior to me taking office. I signed on and supported the process of civil citations, and in 2018, we were reduced by 15%. So I would say that absolutely not. This is not the first time, but I'm hoping that we're coming to an end.
When did Mr. Dean's involvement begin, and what was his involvement on Thursday as this was all playing?
On Thursday, I'll allow Mr. Dean to speak.
Thank you for the question. So we got note from the Department of Juvenile Justice, which we call DJJ, that 2 young children were one of them was on their way to the juvenile detention center. I asked for the report, and as soon as I got it, and the public defender's office was made aware of that report as well. Obviously, they were interested in his release. As soon as I found out about it, I made it very clear that we did not want him going to the JDC or spending any time at the juvenile detention center, which is what I mean by the JDC. And I let everybody know, the department, the juvenile detention center, who sometimes needs our waiver to release children, that we absolutely did not want that child at the juvenile detention center, especially overnight or at all, preferably.
Just to be clear, he was not at the JDC, he was at the Jack Center, correct? And he never made the transfer from one to the other. That's
correct. He never made it, but we were being told he was going to be transported there. That's when I found out about it, and that's when I let everybody know. That was around noon, a little after noon on Thursday.
So as far as you know, were both kids mugshots, fingerprinted, handcuffed, the whole 9 yards?
I don't know that information. I don't know if they got to the Jack, as he was the juvenile assessment center, if they were processed in any way.
We know one was.
And then
here's the time. I'm gonna give him a little bit of reprieve, because we're not. I can't speak to what we don't know. We are not part of law enforcement. We are the state attorney's office. So I want to allow Chief Rolone to manage what they're managing, and I'm going to manage my office's work, which is making a decision we are not prosecuting.
So you're not just a state attorney, you're also a mother of kids around this age. When you heard about this and heard why they were charged, what was your immediate thought?
You know, Holly, I will tell you that the shock of any person. I don't think that it takes a person being a mom and having children at the age that I have. At the end of the day, children deserve to be disciplined by all means when they're misbehaving. But as I said earlier, the discipline must not depend on the criminal justice system.
Anything that can be done against, any measures that might be taken against Officer Turner?
That's up to the police. I know that our office, the only responsibility and oversight that we have is whether or not we use officers. Our Brady policy, which Amanda is the director of our conviction integrity and the chair of that, those are things that we may be reviewing.
You guys talk with the kids, what they feel about it? How they feel, the kids?
Well, I think it's inappropriate for me to comment on someone who's not here to speak for themselves. The only reason that I mentioned Chief Rolone is because he and I did speak at length, and I asked for permission to use his name.
What was the reaction from the parents when you said, I'm going to make this go away, like this isn't how we're going to handle this?
Well, again, I think to speak to that would be, I think it's inappropriate for me to comment. There are, like one of the cases, I have not had direct contact with the family, so that one I can't even speak to.
Have you been in contact with Lucius and Emma Nixon School faculty themselves?
I reached out, attempted to make contact. I have not made contact. I know our office is also like others in my office, but I did reach out personally. I think that it would be completely inappropriate for anyone involved in the file to at least for me not to at least attempt communication before speaking publicly. So yes, I have.
Could you elaborate on your statement that Florida leads in the number of arrests in this age group 5 to 10? How many do you know on average children are arrested in this age group in the state of Florida per year?
I can't give you the exact number. What I can tell you is that there was a research study that was done, and it was released in 2017 that averaged the years, I want to say from 2013, and it looked at us, it looked at Orange County specifically leading higher than Miami, going further into race and demographics of individuals, but we have led, and we've all attempted to try to reverse that, looking at civil citations, because at the end of the day, while I disagree with the things that went along in this case, there are some times where a criminal act under the age of 18 occurs, but we have other options such as civil citation. There are other options that we have to live by, and arresting a 6-year-old child is not one of them.
Are you saying that Florida is the leader, like leads the nation, or a leader
I believe Florida leads the nation, and I believe Orange County leads the state of Florida. I do know for a fact Orange County led the state of Florida. Where those numbers are after 2017, I do not know. What I can tell you is that in 2018, a reflection from the year prior, there was a 15% reduction in the arrest numbers.
Can you talk about the circumstances that led to these arrests? I know you said you read one of the reports that was written. What happened in the school?
It has not been made public at this point, and I think it would be inappropriate to go into the facts of the case. Once it is, then you can contact my office to get that information. Yes, sir.
Can you confirm both the children were 6 years old?
I do believe so.
Can I ask what the charges were that were brought against both the 6-year-old girl and the 6-year-old boy?
Yes, I can answer that part of it. They were both misdemeanor battery charges.
Both misdemeanor battery?
Yes, there was not a weapon involved. It was misdemeanor battery.
How bizarre. I mean, this seems so strange. You had 2 6-year-olds in the same day, same schools. I mean, it's just such a strange. Talk about what was going on. How could this possibly happen?
Unfortunately, I wasn't there. All I can do is respond to what happened. So because it is strange, I'm not going to perpetuate that strange concept. I'm absolutely going to end it here. And that's why I decided to ask everyone here so that I can make it very public. It ends here. So now the healing can begin, the questions can begin, but I am not going to be part of perpetuating this conduct that is not what I believe defining justice. All right? Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.